everyone. Welcome to Hubbard's Hillside Homestead, aka a homestead life in Appalachia. I say that because I tried to rename our channel and it didn't turn out right. So anyways, I posted on several groups the other day that I had bought 40 pounds of chicken breasts and 50 pounds of potatoes for less than $48. And I was going to be canning it. So a lot of people have asked me, how do you can chicken? So I figured, why not do a video on it? So far I've gotten 14 jars. Most of them are quarts. Some of them are pint and a halves. I love the pint and a halves. I don't know why, I just do. You want to use a wide mouth jar when you can meat. It's easier to get out. So this is what I have left of my chicken. I've got some that I'm going to be freezing for fried chicken and stuff. But
it's Waylon down there. He's chowing down.
I've got it all chunked up, and I'm just going to start putting it in my jars. Now, I don't need any canning police here. I do it my way. You do it your way.
So that's raw packed, right?
Yeah, it's raw packed, cold packed. That way everything just heats all up at the same time. I don't pack it down in there, because then it just all tends to stick together as it's canned. I know some people use their funnel. Most of the time I do, but I'm going to be wiping the rims of them anyway, so it's alright to me. Like I said, no canning police allowed. Especially when you hear that I reuse my lids. They say you're not supposed to, but when you take that lid off, if there's no damage to it, there's no reason why you can't reuse it. Just heat it up and it makes it seal just perfectly fine. I've had reused lids on things for over a year. And they've never failed.
Look at the intense concentration, folks.
Of course. Canning is really fun.
Are you leaving any space in the top?
Yeah, I'm just filling it up. I'm not really, because I still have to add water to it. And
are you supposed to leave any space at the top?
You can, or you don't have to. It's not a necessity. Some people will only fill their jars like 3/4 of a way full and fill it up with water to have the broth, because then you can have like an instant soup. All you have to do is put your rice in it or your noodles. You never want to can noodles, because then they become soggy and yucky.
So do you don't have to put a 1-inch headspace or 1/2-inch headspace at the top?
Once I put the water in, there will be. Some people don't even add water to their meats. They just let it can in its own juices, which I did that with hamburger meat. I just did it like that, and there's no water in there. I just let it can in its own juice.
Yes, folks, we're off grid, so therefore we don't have an electric refrigerator. So we're a large freezer. We have a refrigerator out of an RV.
This is my freezer.
That's our freezer. Small space.
That's all the room I have.
So we pretty much have to can everything we have if we're going to preserve it for any amount of time. The RV refrigerator runs off of propane. We have another video about how we heat and use propane, so be sure and check that out.
Now when I'm canning during the warm weather, I'll can outside on the propane burners, but in the wintertime I'll use my stove that we took out of our camper, because honestly I just haven't gotten brave enough to can on my wood cook stove yet.
said wood cook stove. Baker's Choice. Rocking and rolling. It's 20 degrees outside. And it's almost 80 in here.
So a lot of people were concerned about us freezing to death this winter. And I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just adding some more pieces of the chicken to these jars so that I can finish it off. This pot gives me right at about 7 jars.
So if you are curious about how we eat, we do have another video about how we heat our cabin. Be sure and check it out. Be sure and what?
Like and subscribe to our channel. And make sure you hit the little bell button, and then YouTube will notify you of whenever we have a new video out.
Folks, we try to do videos quite often, but
well,
it's hard for us because this is our life. We are busting our butts to get prepared for the winter. And so it doesn't always allow us afford us the time to just do whatever as far as video time. I don't know who it was went by on the side, but they waved. And the four-wheeler. That one was Robbie there.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do, you can either put chicken bouillon in it, you can put salt in it, you can put all of your seasonings in this, that way it's already done. With this batch that I've done of chicken, I'm just adding a teaspoon of chicken bouillon to each jar.
Now this chicken bouillon is just not just any old chicken bouillon too. We
get it in Amish country. It's a chicken base. We love it.
And it'd be so good.
We go through a lot of this. I use it in a lot of different things. As you can see, I'm not really measuring. I'm just kind of like just throwing it in there. All right. Now, the water that I usually use our filtered water through our Berkey filters, but I don't have enough water right now because I had to fill it up. So I'm just going to use some bottled water. I don't use our water because we have really, really hard water. So I don't use that. I'll probably use about 3 bottles of water. For all 7 quarts. My canner holds 7. The one that I'm using today is the
Presto?
Yeah, the Presto. I have an All-American canner too, but this one was already down. The All-American is up on the top shelf, and I just really didn't want to take it down, so. Why can't they make bottles that are flat on the bottom? Why do they always roll around and spill? It's always been one of my pet peeves.
Our livestock guardian dog did not like the 4-wheelers and side-by-sides going by. So he's raised Cain, so therefore now the real guard dogs are raising Cain. Right, yeah, the place tends to be a mess, but you try to live in 12 by 32 space and see if you don't make a mess.
Now I'm trying to get the air bubbles out. these jars are a little bit fuller than my last 2 batches. That's why I'm not having to use as much water. I'm not even going to go through 2 bottles. So as you can see, I'm just filling them up to about 1 inch from the top. Now I'm going to have my paper towel, and I'm going to put vinegar on it.
And if you wonder what you're hearing in the background, that's Joey watching the Shrek on the laptop. Keeps him busy. He's autistic. Kind of hard to keep him busy sometimes, keep him focused when we have things going on. And yes, it's a pizza box on our steps. That's called the pizza gate to keep the dogs from going up in our sleeping loft.
Alright, I'm going to clean the rims of the jars. I use vinegar because it'll cut any grease or anything like that that may be on the jars, even though my jars were clean before I used them. You just never know. You can't be too careful because this is the food that you eat. And you don't want to get botulism. Whenever you open up a jar of home canned food, if it smells in the least bit funny, don't eat it. Botulism isn't worth it.
What's the little saying everybody says? If in doubt,
throw it out. Almost done. And as you can see on the stove, I've got my lids and rings. Now they're over here on the wood cook stove. They've been heating up for quite a while.
See the steam coming off.
Alright, we're ready to put the lids and rings on.
You know, what's that little gadget you're using?
It's just a magnet. It keeps you from having to touch the lid and contaminate it. I've already got water in there. You know, if you don't have a line in your canner showing you where the water level goes, then you want about 2 inches of water in your canner. You just want finger tight. I also put vinegar in my canning water because, like I said, we have hard water, and so you'll get a lot of white mineral deposits on your jar that don't like to come off. So if you put some vinegar in your water, it'll keep your jars a lot cleaner. And I don't claim to know everything about canning. Oh, there's a beautiful cardinal on the fence for the chickens.
Do you have any suggestions of books or?
Yes. I started out with the Ball Blue Book of Canning. I think that should be in everyone's home library that is a canner, has been a canner, wants to be a canner. That's all you need is that one book. There's recipes in there. There's instructions. It'll tell you about the different canners and how to operate them. See, like my canner that I'm using right now, the Presto, it's got a seal in it, a rubber seal. My All-American does not use a rubber seal. So they tell you about the different canners, and they tell you about a water bath canner, what you can water bath can, what you can't.
Can you water bath can this meat?
No, it will not be good for you if you do that. I know way back when our great-grandmas and all them, they used to water bath can everything. But it's just not worth the risk of getting sick. Alright, so I've got all my jars in my canner. And I made sure that none of them are touching.
Show them the gasket.
Oh, yeah. That's the gasket. You always, every so often you want to take your gasket off and look for cracks or anything. If you start seeing cracks, then you want to go ahead and replace it. They're not very expensive. And we have a love-hate relationship with this. I do anyway. Ah. Alright, so we're going to let this warm up. And after it gets warm, you'll start seeing steam come out of this part right here. That's your vent. You're going to want to let it vent for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to use 10 pounds of pressure on my canner. And I'm going to let it pressure for 90 minutes because I have quart jars. If I were using pints, I would let it go for 60 minutes. So, I will be back to show you when it starts venting and putting the weight on it. And then we'll go back away, and then we'll come back when it is ready to start pressurizing, and I'll show you where I'll put it out on my stove as far as the heat and how you want it to jiggle and all that. And then we'll be back again for the finished product. So, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so we are back now. As you can see, I'm venting here. Well, you might not be able to see it very well. But we've been venting for about 10 minutes now. So I'm going to put my weight on. And like I said before, I'm going to use 10 pounds on my weight. That's 1,000 feet above square level. 1,000 feet above sea level or under. If you're over 1,000 feet above sea level, then you want to increase your weight. So we're just going to put it on here like this. And then you're going to want a soft jiggle when it starts jiggling. Okay, see, it just sealed.
See the safety pop?
Yep, that means that my pressure canner just sealed. Once this starts jiggling, where I've got it on high, it's going to jiggle really, really fast. You don't want that. You want a slow jiggle. So I know my canner and what temperature it needs. So I'm going to turn it down to about 6. And that's going to give me about a medium heat. And that's going to keep my weight jiggling at a lower speed. And then once it starts jiggling, you don't start timing it until it starts jiggling. But once it starts jiggling, that's when you start timing it for 90 minutes. And we'll be back to show you when it's done jiggling, when we're fixing to take it off of the heat. Okay, so we're back. As you can see, my canner is jiggling now. So I'm going to turn it down to about 6 because I don't want my jiggler to get any faster than that. If it gets faster than that, then your meat might come out a little mushy, and we don't want that. So start the timer now, and in 90 minutes, we'll turn the heat off, and we'll be back. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back, and my chicken is done pressure canning. This is still pretty hot. It's actually done a while ago, but got to eat dinner and all that. So, we're going to...
Now, do you just run over and take that off?
No. You make sure that you don't hear any steam coming out, any pressurization coming out. Usually, I let it set for an hour or so after I turn it off to make sure it has depressurized inside, and then I take my lid off. And make sure you put it in a place where you can find it. Yeah, so.
We don't want to get into that
yeah,
one.
we won't go there. and then you just twist your lid, and be careful and always do it away from you, because if there's still steam in it, it will burn you. So, and I have my jar grabber. This is my favorite pair. I also have this pair.
They don't stand up real good.
Yeah, but this is my favorite.
The kickstand's broken.
So let's take them out. Always use a jar grabber to take them out, because you never know how hot this is. And pull them out slowly in case a jar breaks, which I have had happen to me. Even just recently, I canned some deer meat and I had a jar bust. And it happens, you know, after so many times of using the jars. They may get a weak point in it, or you may open up your canner too soon and it depressurizes too fast.
Look at all that yumminess.
You can actually still see it bubbling inside.
Yeah. See the bubbles? Look at there.
And don't be alarmed if when you look in your canner, you have juice from the jars inside your canner, because just about everyone gets seepage, and it's normal. You just change out your water for the next time and go on about your canning. And once these are cooled off, I'll take a warm soapy rag and I'll take the rings off, and I will clean the outside of the jars. Look how pretty that is. So I ended up with 21 jars. So let's see, my chicken cost me $38. 21 jars, roughly what, $1.75 a meal?
Yeah, but how many? You also didn't can all of it.
No, I haven't canned it all either. So I
in fact,
fried chicken tonight.
It's a leftover from just a few minutes ago. We had supper.
I put like 2 packages in the freezer for fried chicken. So actually, it's probably going to be more like $1.40, $1.50 a meal. So can't really beat that for chicken breast. Now, like I said, I take my rings off and I wash off my jars with warm soapy water. And I leave the rings off because if you leave your rings on and your seal breaks, you may not know it. And when you open it, if you're not paying attention to the smell and to the way that it looks, you're going to get sick. So at least if my rings are off, if I have a seal that pops, I'm going to know it because I'm going to see the color change in it. I'm going to see mold growing. I've had that happen with beans a lot because I still haven't mastered the art of canning beans. I always put too many beans in my jar.
Now, green beans we do great with.
And then it gasses. I'm talking like pinto beans and black beans.
Can you imagine pinto beans gassing?
Yes. Yes, even though you give us enough of that gas. Did I just say that on camera?
Yes.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
You always insult me.
You would have done it to me anyway, so. Alright, so that is my video on canning chicken. If you don't like the way I do it, that's fine. You don't have to comment. I'll just delete it. It's no big deal to me. You do it your way. I do it my way. I learned out of the Bald Blue Book for canning. Everyone has their own little quirks when it comes to canning. Like, I'll reuse my lids. It doesn't bother me. Some of these lids, like, see how dark this is compared to this? These are very old lids. So they're not BPA free, but I'm okay with that. They still work. They worked for, what, 100 and something years for everybody. And these newer lids, they say, well, your food will last for up to 18 months. Well, with these lids, I know 10 years later I could open up a jar and they would still taste fresh. So, I don't know about these new lids yet because they haven't been out that long. Okay, but anyways, that's my video on canning chicken, and you can can too, just so you know. It's not hard. It's easy. All you need is a pressure canner. I think you can get this for, I think like $80, something like that. And you can even get the kit with the jar grabber, the little magnet, lift your lids up, and a little dipper thingy that measures your head space and also helps to get the air out of your jars. You can get that in a kit. But I do suggest, if you're wanting to get into canning, first thing you need to buy is the Ball Blue book for canning. It is the best book out there. You will learn a lot. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye.